Hello, 482 are the first numerals of the barcode of Ukrainian products. Also, the numerals 482 stand for a national economy program. Today, we'll speak about an unusual Ukrainian product. Without it, our life would be unimaginable. In our country, this product is manufactured in such an amount that it is enough for us and for, say, our neighbors.
Ukraine's hydropower stations generate about 8% of the total output of electricity. The world standard is from 15 to 20%.
Ukraine's largest hydropower stations are located on the Dnieper River. There are 6 of them. Another HPS is on the Dniester River. On the small rivers, there are 150 low-capacity hydropower stations, all of which were built in Soviet times.
By the early 1990s, the equipment of the hydropower stations exhausted their operating life and became obsolescent. In 1994, the World Bank came to the assistance and launched the largest project of rehabilitating our hydropower stations.
The age of our stations, their equipment and buildings are 70 years old, and the youngest are from 35 to 40 years old. Some stations have a theoretical depreciation life of 100 years, with allowance for the time we will need to modernize what is quite obvious for us.
Within the time frame of the first stage of HPS rehabilitation, international tenders were held and contracts were signed for the supply of new modern equipment. This was followed by the renovation of the hydroelectric units.
At that time, it was very difficult for Ukraine and also for the bank operations here. We actually managed to do the so-called first phase of the rehabilitation of hydropower plants, and this phase was completed around 2000-2001, and then in 2003 we started the preparation of this new project, which actually continued the rehabilitation of hydropower plants. Why we continued this project is, I think, obvious, because the very first experience we had with investment lending in Ukrohydroenergo was positive.
The sum of the First World Loan Bank was more than $50 million, with Dnipro Hydro Energy Company contributing an additional $65 million. Grants of the government of Switzerland and Canada made up $10 million American dollars. For this money, 16 hydroelectric units were completely renovated. Control systems and equipment was replaced on 34 power generating units. For the Ukrainian hydropower industry, it was a second wind.
Well, as a result of increasing the capacity of hydropower generation, reducing the own energy needs of the hydropower stations by replacing some of the turbines, we are achieving a reduction in emissions. We are generating energy that doesn't require emissions, that replaces energy that would generate emissions. And in fact, these investments have allowed Ukraine to receive access to financing under the Kyoto Protocol under a joint implementation mechanism.
One of the main objectives of the project is the generation of safe and eco-friendly power. Once environmentally clean turbines were installed, it prevented turbine oil spilling into the Dnieper. For Ukraine's environment, that was a real breakthrough.
For achieving the most efficient output-input ratio, the previous turbines regulated not only the water flow rates, but also the position of turbine fins, and all this under the pressure of oil. When anything went wrong, the oil simply spilled into the river. Downstream from HPSs, we have water supply points that feed the largest industrial centers.
Now, the Kyiv HPS, the modernization is underway. The old turbines are being replaced by new ones. To compare, the old turbine could produce 18 megawatts of electricity, the new one can produce 22. There are 20 such turbines, so in total 400 to 440 megawatts of electricity. In order for you to understand, Rafal, it can cover electricity needs of such a city as Vinnytsia.
The second stage of the project will last until 2012. Within this time, it is planned to replace the worn hydroelectric generating sets and introduce an automated power equipment control system.
Increase of capacity of hydropower plants is an important objective of this project. We already achieved an increase of installed capacity of about 50 megawatts, and probably by the end of this phase of project implementation, by 2012, we will be at the level of about 250 megawatts of additional capacity. To give you just a feeling for this number, it's pretty much like if you are building a complete new plant of 250 megawatts.
The total cost of the large hydropower project is about $500 million, of which the World Bank extends $160 million. Besides, hydropower stations can quickly deliver electricity during daily peaks in the power system. Electricity is a product of immediate consumption. It cannot be pumped into and kept in a storage facility. So during peak hours, when consumers use electrical appliances en masse, a shortage of power arises. Only hydropower stations can cover these shortages. The sluices are opened, the water surges turbidly downward, releasing all its latent potential.
It is a unique project from a point of view of simultaneous power generation at 9 operating stations. When modernizing one station, we cannot achieve the highest possible efficiency of generating units, since there is only one river and the stations are sited consecutively. By modernizing all the stations at one and the same time, we achieve higher efficiency because we begin to use the water resources more rationally.
The new modern equipment makes it possible to use water more efficiently. The generating units are brought to an optimal mode of operation, thereby increasing the output-input ratio.
We reduce the losses for our own needs. And with the introduction of modern maintenance system, the intervals between repairs increase, repair costs go down, and so do the expenses for generating electricity.
Alexander has been working at the Kyiv HPS for 28 years. He handled all sorts of equipment, mostly mechanical, that was bulky and complex in operation. The modern equipment is absolutely different.
Previous equipment is history now. We are installing regulators of foreign production that make it possible to regulate loads and frequencies more precisely. The generating units operate more smoothly.
At the current stage of the project, it is planned to replace 46 generating units. Besides, new power transformers will be installed at the HPS to raise the capacity of the equipment.
Compared to the old equipment, the new one has increased efficiency about 200 times because mechanical elements are excluded as much as possible. Now we have elements of control, diagnostics, and lead systems that can prompt possible problems and malfunctions. Therefore, it is a very substantial increase.
Water power is much cheaper than nuclear and heat power since, in the process of its generation, the expensive fuel component is absent.
Development of hydropower is a use of Ukraine's own natural resources. So the availability of electricity from hydropower reduces the need to generate electricity by burning fossil fuels, which is the primary option, or from the use of nuclear power. In this particular case, the trade-off is a reduction in thermal power production, which translates into a reduced use of either imported gas or of coal, which can then be deployed to other purposes.
Moreover, the implementation of such a large project will open new frontiers for Ukraine. Possibly, it might even increase the export of eco-friendly electricity to the world markets.
This increases Ukraine's reserve capacity, which is an important step towards ultimately being able to join the UCTE, which is the Unified Electricity Arrangement, which will be important for Ukraine and future deliveries of electricity into Europe.
As one of Ukraine's reliable partners in the implementation of the project, the World Bank focuses special attention on protecting the environment and generating safe power.
In the course of implementing the rehabilitation project, yet another project based on the Kyoto Protocol will be executed. By rehabilitating the generating units, additional output of eco-friendly hydropower will be achieved, therefore reducing harmful emission units.
The HPS rehabilitation project raised Ukrainian hydropower generation to a new level. This positive experience opens the door to a continuous cooperation with the World Bank, which extends grants and long-term loans at low interest rates.
The first area in which we are working is the area of energy efficiency, particularly in the communal and heating sector. And we are now working on putting together a possible credit line through Ukrexim Bank that would allow such smaller investments in the communal sector to be realized, and we believe that these investments would also benefit from access to additional financing, very cheap financing under the Clean Technology Fund recently put together under the roof of the IFIs, the International Financial Institutions.
The project of modernizing Ukrainian hydropower stations is going on. Its second stage will be followed by the third stage, up to 2017. As a result, the Ukrainian hydropower sector will be completely modernized. When necessary, our HPSs can boost the output of eco-friendly hydropower. Apart from that, the project will make it possible to enhance the safety of dams, reduce the risks of flooding, and cut down water pollution.
Under the current circumstances, cooperation with prestigious international financial institutions is very useful for Ukraine. An enhanced energy potential can make our country more powerful and open to the doors of an independent future as regards energy.